"Mentor," answered Telemachus, "do not let us talk about it anymore. There is no chance of my father's ever coming back. The gods have long since counselled his destruction. There is something else, however, about which I should like to ask Nestor, for he knows much more than anyone else does. They say he's reigned for 3 generations, so that it is like talking to an immortal. Tell me, therefore, Nestor, and tell me true. How did Agamemnon come to die in that way? What was Menelaus doing? And how came false Aegisthus to kill so far better a man than himself? Was Menelaus away from Achaean Argos voyaging elsewhither among mankind, that Aegisthus took heart and killed Agamemnon? I will tell you truly, answered Nestor, and indeed you have yourself divined how it all happened. If Menelaus, when he got back from Troy, had found Aegisthus still alive in his house, there would have been no barrow heaped up for him, not even when he was dead. But he would have been thrown outside the city to dogs and vultures, and not a woman would have mourned him, for he had done a deed of great wickedness. But we were over there, fighting hard at Troy, and Aegisthus, who was taking his ease quietly in the heart of Argos, cajoled Agamemnon's wife Clytemnestra with incessant flattery. At first she would have nothing to do with his wicked scheme, for she was of a good natural disposition. Moreover, there was a bard with her, to whom Agamemnon had given strict orders on setting out for Troy, that he was to keep guard over his wife. But when heaven had counselled her destruction, Aegisthus thrust his bard off to a desert island and left him there for crows and seagulls to batten upon, after which she went willingly enough to the house of Aegisthus. Then he offered many burnt sacrifices to the gods, and decorated many temples with tapestries and gilding, for he had succeeded far beyond his expectations. Meanwhile, Menelaus and I were on our way home from Troy, on good terms with one another. When we got to Sunium, which is the point of Athens, Apollo with his painless shafts killed Phrontis, the steersman of Menelaus' ship, and never man knew better how to handle a vessel in rough weather, so that he died then and there with a helm in his hand. And Menelaus, though very anxious to press forward, had to wait in order to bury his comrade and give him his due funeral rites presently, when he too could put to sea again and had sailed on as far as the Malian heads. Jove counselled evil against him, and made it blow hard till the waves ran mountains high. Here he divided his fleet and took the one half towards Crete, where the Sidonians dwell round about the waters of the river Iarnus. There is a high headland hereabouts, stretching out into the sea from a place called Gortin. And all along this part of the coast, as far as Festus, the sea runs high when there is a south wind blowing. But after Festus, the coast is more protected, for a small headland can make a great shelter. Here this part of the fleet was driven onto the rocks and wrecked, but the crews just managed to save themselves. As for the other 5 ships, they were taken by winds and seas to Egypt, where Menelaus gathered much gold and substance among people of an alien speech. Meanwhile, Aegisthus here at home plotted his evil deed. For 7 years after he had killed Agamemnon, he ruled in Mycenae, and the people were obedient under him. But in the 8th year, Odyssey came back from Athens to be his bane, and killed the murderer of his father. Then he celebrated the funeral rites of his mother in a false Aegisthus by a banquet to the people of Argos. And on that very day, Menelaus came home with as much treasure as his ships could carry. Take my advice then, and do not go traveling about for long so far from home, nor leave your property with such dangerous people in your house. They will eat up everything you have among them, and you will have been on a fool's errand. Still, I should advise you by all means to go and visit Menelaus, who has lately come off a voyage among such distant peoples as no man could ever hope to get back from, when the winds had once carried him so far out of his reckoning. Even birds cannot fly the distance in a 12-month. So vast and terrible are the seas that they must cross. Go to him therefore by sea, and take your own men with you. Or if you would rather travel by land, you can have a chariot, you can have horses, and here are my sons who can escort you to Lacedaemon. Menelaus leaves. Beg of him to speak the truth, and he will tell you no lies, for he is an excellent person.